Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we continue our journey with the Rock Solid spell and the Iron Armor set. In my previous videos I mentioned that this Rock Solid journey will be a 3-part series, but surprise, I've decided to extend it to 4 parts, because there's so much more to explore with this spell and the Iron Armor set. Today we're diving into chapter 4 and 5. And I'll share my experiences, the challenges and also a cool suggestion from one of you that I tested out. And also feel free to leave a comment yourself. I always like to read them and I always like to do these cool suggestions that you all sent me. Okay, let's jump right in. These chapters had some insane battles and using Rock Solid definitely tested my patience. Like I said in the previous videos, I'm really getting the hang of it, but the timing window is so short that sometimes I just get it wrong and that really F's up my game. But I do have to mention that the timing window from Rock Solid has been reduced because of the 3rd relic. And also the bosses in the 3rd playthrough are beginning to get tougher. Like for example against the Violet Spider. This fight really exposes some of Rock Solid's limitations. The spell works great against straightforward melee attacks, but the spider's movement set is a whole different story. Most of its attacks are either ranged or involve a sort of body smashing, and Rock Solid just doesn't help much against those. The only time it really shines is when she hits you with those sharp claws. And even then, timing is everything. But for the webs and those heavy body slams, it's a struggle. And don't get me started on that explosion move. Rock Solid absorbs hits, but it doesn't offer any escapes like Cloudstep would have. If you're facing bosses with lots of mixed attacks, like the Violet Spider, you might want to switch up your spells. Rock Solid has its strengths, but it's not the best for every fight. Now, let's talk about the Daoist Master. This is the final boss of chapter 4 and this fight was a complete different experience compared to the Violet Spider. Rock Solid really came through here. The Daoist Master has some heavy attacks which are good to counter with the Rock Solid spell. But he also has some heavy magic attacks and those are very hard to counter with the Rock Solid. As you see here, I use my Rock Solid in the right timing, but this attack just goes right through it. So unlike bosses with ranged or unpredictable attacks, the Daoist Master patterns are a little bit more easy to learn, which makes Rock Solid a great defensive tool in this fight. It was a solid matchup, pun intended. So in certain areas or against certain bosses, switching your gear can become essential. Sometimes a different armor or a different spell gives you a little bit more edge. But as you all know, I'm really doing this with only the Rock Solid spell and the Iron Armor set, so for me that's not gonna help, but just a reminder for you all, sometimes you just need to switch things up. So before we continue this video, let's get back to that comment. This was the suggestion. Do another video of Rock Solid plus Thrust counter attack, basically doing the Thrust heavy move right after a successful Rock Solid. Well, actually I don't really use the Thrust stance, but for this time I'm gonna test it out against the Yellow Loong. But then it hit me. I cannot fight the Yellow Loong just yet, because I first have to fight all the other long bosses. I already defeated one, but I still have to do the Red Loong and the Black Loong. So buckle up, we're gonna first defeat those two before we can go and continue this side quest against the Yellow Loong boss. So first up was the Red Loong, and like all long bosses, this one has electric attacks, and unfortunately most of those cannot be blocked by Rock Solid. So the spell didn't help much here. But honestly, the Red Loong is probably one of the easiest of the 4 long bosses. So it wasn't too tough to get through these fights without relying on it too much. But if I may give a tip, watch out for those electric boom attacks, because they do a lot of damage. The Red Loong has some kind of electric devices on his back, and those devices, when he's down, should be your main target, because you can do a lot of damage if you hit those devices. And like I said, he goes down a lot of times, so maybe in 3 or 4 times when he's down you can defeat this Red Loong pretty easily. So in this fight it was more about staying mobile and striking when I saw the openings when he laid down. Rock Solid really took a backseat in this fight. Alright, next up is the Black Loong. Like the Red Loong, this one also has a lot of thunder-based attacks. So the key in this fight is using the rocks in this fighting area to avoid those lightning strikes. But be careful, his attacks can break those rocks. So only use them when he does his ground shaking attack. So as you can see, timing and placement is everything in this fight. So now that we have defeated all the long bosses, we can finally go to the Yellow Loong. He is the last long boss that you have to fight. And like I said before, I have decided to try this thrust stance out. So let's see how that goes. Before jumping into the fight, I spent some time testing it out, because I almost never used this stance before, maybe 2 or 3 times. So I found some enemies and tested it out before I went to the Yellow Loong. So after a little bit of training, it was time to move to the Yellow Loong boss.
For all his foresight, Yuan the Sign Teller could never have known that. I've hidden upon his garb as a pattern.
As you can see here, I managed to counter a few of Yellow Loong's moves using the Rock Solid and follow it up by a thrust heavy attack. The thrust stance has some real power, and it pushes Yellow Loong back a lot, creating space and gives you time to reposition. It definitely feels like a solid strategy. But as you can see here, I eventually switched back to my favorite stance, the smash stance. It just fits my playstyle much better. I'm just more comfortable with the smash stance, and it feels more natural to me. That's why I ended up finishing this fight with the smash stand. And I also somehow got him stuck in the ground, which helped me a lot with the final blow. Overall, Rock Solid really works well against Yellow Loong. His attacks are pretty predictable and the spells make it easy to deflect and counter them. Whether you are using Thrust or use another stance, the key again is timing. And of course a big shout out to this user that left me the comment and the suggestion to do this in this video. Alright, finally let's talk about what's coming next. I have told you all that this is not gonna be a 3-part but a 4-part video series now. In part 4 we will see the final chapter and also some more fights of chapter 5, and we will take on Red Loong and Wukong shell with this build. So if you're curious to see how Rock Solid and the Iron Armor set can handle these ultimate challenges, then stay tuned for the final showdown. And that's it for this video. This is the end of part 3. We got a 4-part series, so if you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe. You don't want to miss the epic conclusion of Rock Solid. I'd like to thank you all for watching again, and I see you in the next one.